The last customer I expected to see at 8:47 p.m. on a Tuesday was the one who never left. My name is Kara. I'm 23 years old. And for 14 months I worked the closing shift at a discount retail store called Value Mart on the eastern edge of Denton, Texas. It sat between a shuttered nail salon and a payday loan office in a strip mall that felt abandoned even when it wasn't. The parking lot lights buzzed. Half of them were burnt out. My manager, Dennis, had been promising to fix them since March. It was mid-August. The heat didn't break after sundown. It just changed texture, going from dry and aggressive to thick and suffocating. My coworker that night was a woman named Priya, 26, quiet, methodical. She had a habit of humming softly while she restocked shelves. Always the same 3 notes, never finishing the melody. I'd worked with her for 8 months and never asked what song it was. I wish I had. At 8:47, the door sensor chimed. I was behind the register running end-of-day totals. Priya was somewhere in aisle 7. I looked up out of reflex and not real attention, just the automatic scan you develop after hundreds of closing shifts. He was tall. That was the first thing. Tall in a way that made the doorframe look smaller. He wore dark jeans and a gray jacket despite the heat, and he moved with the deliberate slowness of someone who had nowhere to be. He didn't glance at the sale signs, didn't reach for a basket. He turned left at the seasonal aisle and walked to the back of the store. I watched for 3 seconds. Then the register beeped at me and I looked back down. Priya emerged from aisle 7 at 9:15, pushing a flat cart. "Did that guy check out?" she asked, nodding toward the back. I looked up. "What guy?" She described him. Tall, gray jacket, went toward housewares. "Haven't seen him come through," I said. We looked at each other. "He probably slipped out while I was counting," I said. "You know how the sensor sometimes doesn't catch the exit." Priya nodded, but her humming stopped. We began closing procedures. I killed the lights in the seasonal section and the garden aisle. Priya counted the drawer. The store contracted around us as the overhead fluorescents clicked off one bank at a time, until only the checkout lights and the emergency strips remained. Thin white light that turned everything gray and shapeless. At 9:38, I walked the back wall to check the stockroom door. It was unlocked. Dennis always locked it at 6. Always. He was obsessive about it. Because 3 weeks earlier, some teenagers had broken in from the loading dock and stolen 2 cartons of energy, drinks, and a portable speaker. I stood in front of that door for a moment. The stockroom behind it was dark. The gap between door and frame was maybe 2 inches, not open but not latched, like someone had pulled it nearly shut from the inside. I should have called the police right then. I know that now. But there's a particular kind of doubt that lives in closing shifts, the bone-tired. Just get through it doubt that makes you rationalize everything. I told myself Dennis had left it open by mistake. I told myself the teenager thing had spooked me into seeing threats in unlocked doors. I pushed it shut and turned the bolt. Then I walked back to the register and told Priya we were good to close. My phone buzzed at 9:52. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Spam probably, or a wrong number. But something made me answer. Silence on the other end. Not dead silence. Breathing silence. "Hello?" A man's voice, low and very close to the receiver. "You locked the wrong door." The floor dropped out from under me. "Who is this?" "You should have locked the front one." A pause. "The stockroom bolt is on the inside, Kara." He knew my name tag. I was still wearing it. He'd seen it. Before he went to the back, before I locked him in. No, not locked him in. Locked myself in with him. I grabbed Priya's arm so hard she gasped. I didn't speak. I pointed at the front door and mouthed one word. "Run." She looked at my face and ran. I was 3 steps behind her when the stockroom door opened. The bolt I had turned from the outside. He had released it from the inside. That meant there was a second mechanism, a privacy latch, the kind installed on bathroom doors. He had come prepared. He had planned to be in that stockroom. He had scouted the store before tonight. This was not random. The door swung open behind me as I hit the front entrance. Cold air rushed in from outside. I shoved through and spun back and through the deadbolt, the real one. The heavy exterior lock that needed a key from inside. From behind the glass, the gray jacket moved out of the back hallway into the checkout lights. He stopped. He looked at me through the door, calm, unhurried. The way a person looks at a puzzle they've already solved. He had something in his right hand, long. I didn't wait to identify it. I ran to Priya. She was already on the phone. Police arrived in 6 minutes. They found him still inside. He'd made no attempt to break out. He was sitting on the floor of the seasonal aisle, with his back against a shelf of pool noodles. hands in his lap, the weapon beside him. A box cutter, blade fully extended, something dark on the handle. The officer who took my statement had seen things that should have made him immune to surprise. He still looked rattled. He had zip ties in his jacket pocket, he told me quietly, like he was managing how much of the truth to give me at once. Cable ties, a roll of them. I sat on the curb outside and listened to the parking lot lights buzz and thought about the 3 seconds. I'd watched him walk to the back of the store and then looked away. 3 seconds. I quit Value Mart the next morning, handed in my keys by text, blocked Dennis's number, and spent 4 days sitting in my apartment with the chain latched and the blinds down. It was Priya who called me out of it. She knocked on my door on day 5, carrying gas station coffee and the particular no-nonsense energy of someone who has decided that fear is an indulgence neither of you can afford. We sat at my kitchen table, and she told me what the police had told her separately from what they'd told me. And when we compared the two accounts, we understood something that neither of us had been given complete. The man in the gray jacket had been inside Value Mart the previous Tuesday as well. Different clothes. No one had flagged him. He had stayed until close, left before they locked up, and come back 7 days later with zip ties and a plan. He had watched us for a week before he moved. His name, the detective told us later, was Curtis Vane, 38. No fixed address. 3 prior arrests in 2 other states. In each case, the charges had been reduced or dropped. He was good at not leaving evidence. If I hadn't dead-bolted that front door in the exact second I did, the detective said, the outcome of that night would have been categorically different. I live inside that sentence sometimes. Categorically different. The careful language of someone describing something too specific to name. Priya went back to work 2 weeks later at a different store. I found a day-shift office job answering phones, and for a while the normalcy of it felt like medicine. Then on a Tuesday night in October, exactly 2 months after the Value Mart incident, I was covering an extra evening shift because my supervisor had a family emergency. The building was a small insurance office on a commercial street that emptied out by 7. By 9 it was just me, a desk lamp, and the faint sound of traffic 6 floors below. At 9:40 the elevator opened. I heard it from down the hall. The mechanical thud of the doors, the soft pneumatic exhale. After hours, no one used the elevator. The cleaners came at 11 and always took the stairs. I stayed at my desk. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, stopping outside my office door. Then a knock. 3 even taps. Patient. My chest seized. I looked at my phone. I looked at the door. The handle was not locked. This was an office. Not a store. There was no deadbolt. Just a lever handle any person could push. Kara, a man's voice. Not Curtis Vane. Different pitch, different weight. But it said my name with the same quality. The quality of someone who has been watching long enough to feel like they know you. Building security, the voice said. We got an alert on this floor. Routine check. Building security did not knock on individual office doors at 9:40 p.m. They called the main line. I knew this because I'd asked about security protocols on my first week, specifically because of what had happened at Value Mart. I did not answer. I did not move. I opened my phone and typed a message to the after hours. Security desk in the lobby. Someone claiming to be security is outside my office on 6. Did you send anyone up? 15 seconds. The reply, no one's been dispatched. Are you secure? I typed back, no. Another knock. Slightly harder this time. Still patient. Ms. Kara, I just need 30 seconds of your time. I was already under my desk, back against the wall, phone gripped in both hands. I dialed 911 and kept my voice to a whisper. So shallow it barely carried sound. He knocked a 3rd time, then stopped. Footsteps retreating, unhurried, back toward the elevator. The doors opened and closed. I stayed under that desk for 11 minutes until the lobby security guard appeared at my door. Real security. I checked his badge from 3 feet away and swept the floor. They found no one. The external camera footage showed a man in a blue windbreaker entering the elevator at 9:38 and exiting the building. Through the parking garage at 9:44, he had come in through a service entrance that was supposed to require a key fob but had a faulty sensor that hadn't been repaired. A faulty sensor, an unlocked stockroom bolt, a burnt-out parking lot light. Buildings are full of vulnerabilities that no one notices until someone decides to use them. The police reviewed the footage, but the angle was wrong. Face, never clearly visible. They took a report. They flagged it as potentially connected to the Value Mart case, given my involvement in both. But Curtis Vane was in county detention awaiting trial. Whoever knocked on my door that October night was someone else. Someone who knew my name. Someone who knew where I worked. Someone who had decided, for reasons I will never fully understand, that I was worth finding. The case is still open. I moved apartments in November. I work from home now. I changed my name on professional directories and unlisted my address from every public record I could find. The detective checks in every few months. Always the same update. Which is no update, which is its own kind of answer. I don't work nights anymore. But every now and then, usually when the apartment is very quiet and the street outside goes briefly still, I hear something at the edge of my awareness, a footstep, a door, an elevator somewhere in the building, and my whole body goes cold and still and waiting. 3 seconds. That's all it takes for something to change the entire direction of your life. 3 seconds of looking away. 3 seconds of deciding not to call. 3 seconds standing in a dark parking lot listening to the wrong door close. I've thought about those 3 seconds every day for over a year. I suspect I always will.